Hi, everyone, and welcome to Psych B30, Human Sexuality. This is going to be a great class. I look forward to meeting all of you this semester, and I just wanted to take a couple minutes to do a rundown of the course and to go over the syllabus with you in this introduction video, just to welcome you to the class. First things first, I want to look at the Canvas page, and then we'll look at the syllabus. As I'm pulling it up, share my screen with you. I want to let you all know that this class is 100% asynchronous, and that means that there's no mandatory time for us to meet together online or in person. So that means you don't have to ever meet with me or the other students in your class, though you will have plenty of interactions with them through discussion assignments. Let me pull up our class. So if you go to your Inside BC into your courses, you'll see all the courses you're enrolled in here. Ours is this one. It says Human Sexuality with these brains. One of them kind of looks like it's mounting the other. That's the joke. So we'll go ahead and click on that image, and you'll see that the way I structured the course on Canvas is not the prettiest, but I'm going on student feedback. And students told me that they don't like jumping back and forth across multiple pages. They just want to see everything in one place. So I said, okay, I will find a way to make that pretty, but this semester, this is not the time. So all the information is there. It just doesn't look very aesthetically pleasing right now. So the main page will be the modules, and this is all the information from the class. Actually, you know what? Let me switch to student view. So I'm not showing you any extra information, just that which is pertinent to you. Okay, so the course looks like this. And the first module is class materials, where you can find things like the syllabus, which we'll go over in a moment. There's a link to a form for anonymous questions and comments. So if you want to write a comment to me, or if you have a question you want to ask, but you don't want to necessarily have your name attached to it, I respect your anonymity. And you can write it here. I'll still get the question to my inbox, but it won't have any email or name attached to it. So if you feel more comfortable contacting me that way, go for it. And what I like to do is, if I get enough of these in a week, I'll collect everybody's questions and comments, and I'll make a video where I can walk through them so we can all learn from each other's questions. Okay, so that's there for you. Online office hours. So if you want to meet me online, if you want to have questions about the class, if you have comments about the class, if you just want to shoot the shit, Mondays 6 to 7 p.m. I will be here on Zoom in my office, and you can chat with me. So there's a link there. There's also information about Pearson, about your textbook. Speaking of the textbook, it is going to be cheaper for you if you buy it directly through Pearson than if you buy it through the bookstore. The bookstore marks things up, sometimes even 100%. So like doubling the cost of your book, which is crazy to me. So you can buy a brand new book directly from the publisher by going over here to Pearson Revel, and you should be directed, if you want to rent from them or to buy from them that way, and kind of cut out the middle person, which is our bookstore. Also, this is the last semester I'm going to be using this textbook, and it means that there are older copies out there. It is kind of an older edition. You'll see some of the information is beginning to get a little bit outdated culturally. But good news for you guys is that there's plenty of used copies out there for you. So if you find a good used copy, go for it. All that matters is you have the textbook. You don't need any of the bells and whistles that might come with a book from the publisher, just the book itself. That is all you need. All right. Discussion grading rubric. I'm going to click on that for a sec. So for the discussions in class, and you're going to get a discussion with every chapter. I try to make them interesting, though. What I've heard from students is that the discussions were their favorite part of the class. And I did that. Basically, a lot of the discussions, there's no right or wrong answer. I just want you to think through a topic and tell us your thoughts on it. And inevitably, people are going to have different thoughts that lead to interesting discussions. It kind of looks like this, right? Obviously, if you don't post anything at all, it's 0 points. If you partially answer a question, or there's no full development of any type of concept, I'll give you half points for that. Or also if you say something that's like, yeah, me too, or I think the same thing. That's all you write. That's not very thoughtful, so you're going to get half points. But this one, if you post well-developed discussion that addresses all aspects of the topic, you continue the discussion with somebody else. Sorry, this is the initial posting. Yeah, you answer everything fully and you have a thoughtful response and you get full points. If you're responding to somebody and you're commenting, obviously no follow-up is 0. If you write me too, or I thought the same thing, or cool, that's not worth any points. If you post some shallow response to discussion, I'll give you some half points for that. If you demonstrate, it says here, an analysis of other people's posts, extend the meaningful discussion by building on previous posts, then you'll get full points. All right, so, no shallow discussions. That's the whole point of the assignment, is to have a fruitful discussion with your peers. Okay. So basic class materials there. There's student resources posted for you on our page 2. These are all hyperlinks to typically somewhere on the BC website. There's lots of things that pertain to our class and to other classes you might be taking. So you can look here if you're looking for information on BC policy or resources you might want to use. All right, so for the class, we have a couple of papers. They're short, so don't freak out by having 2 papers in the class. First one's 1 page, 1 to 2 pages if you need it. This is an article summary paper, so I want to see that you know how to find scientific articles going through the BC database. So I want you to paraphrase and summarize an article for me. I made a whole video about my expectations. You can watch it here, and then also I did make a video that I don't see it, so let me go back and post it in a sec about how to find articles using the BC database. That'll be here as well. That's the first paper. All right, so you show me how to find an article. You can read it, you can understand it, you can communicate it to me in a way that I can understand it. The second paper is a personal sexual philosophy paper. This one, of course, it's subjective. It's a reflective exercise. There's no right or wrong sexual philosophy necessarily. So I just want you to explain to me what it is, what your sexual philosophy is. Pretty wild. A lot of people don't think about this until they're initiating in sex or after they've already had sex. And then they form a sexual philosophy about kind of what is right for them and what kind of partner they're looking for, what kind of partner they want to be, what are their goals, all of that. So I want you to write it now, even though I know it's too late. Some of you are already having sex. But I want you to write that paper, and you're going to bring in concepts we've talked about in class to kind of inform your philosophy. But if you want more information about that, I made a whole video for you. You can watch it right here. Okay, now most of the class looks like this. One module is 1 chapter, and everything you need for that chapter is contained within 1 module. So the first one says studying sexuality. So it's really about how it is that behavioral and physical scientists study human sexuality. And what I usually will post for you in every module, so every chapter, will be my PowerPoint that I use for my lectures. I'll just put it up there if you want that. Studying human sexuality. This is a link to the chapter in the book. This one is like a little brief intro about human sexuality for me. Then we get into the chapter down here. But so I got a couple videos for you, lecture videos that I want you to watch. This one is supplemental, but this is, a great resource. It's humorous. It's a little sad. You can check that one out. And then every chapter is going to have a quiz. And these are just multiple choice, 10 questions, multiple choice quizzes. They're not meant to be, super challenging, but just to reinforce the material. And then a discussion. So every chapter will have my PowerPoint, video lectures, some supplemental materials, a quiz, and a discussion. All right, so there's chapter 1. If we keep going, you see chapter 2 is kind of the same. Although I broke this one down into multiple videos. So here's my PowerPoint, sexual anatomy of males, sexual anatomy of females, a couple of videos, one about the clitoris, one about the penis, how to check your testicles, a video about the vulva, a self-breast exam, a self-vaginal exam, animations about the menstrual cycle, information about Kegels. So there's all kinds of info in here, but all you're going to be graded for is the quiz and the discussion question for this chapter, right? And then after those first 2 chapters, I felt like it's time to have an exam. There's a lot of terminology, right? Especially in the anatomical chapters. So there's an exam here. And then we kind of repeat that process, only this time we'll have a few more chapters before exam number 2, right? So we have sexual response and pleasure. Chapter 3, we get the intimate relationships in chapter 4. Chapter 6 is sexual behaviors and experiencing sexual pleasure. Chapter 15 is the sexual marketplace. Looks like we're going to talk about prostitution and pornography in this one. And then we get to exam 2 and so on and so on. And the process kind of continues through as you work your way through the course. So I'm scrolling back up. Sorry to make you dizzy. The thing about the course is that the entire semester's worth of materials is available to you now. So you can work at your own pace. You can work ahead if you would like. There are hard due dates that you can't fall behind, but you can work ahead if you want to, or you can pace yourself, which is probably better. And that really amounts to 1 chapter a week. So it's not that much work that way. But let's go over the syllabus now. Let me share my screen with you again. I forgot to open the syllabus. That would help. So let me download the syllabus and open it up. And then we will check it out together. All right, there we go. So let me stop sharing for a moment. Let me switch to the syllabus. All right, so the syllabus, look, I'm not going to read this to you word for word. That would just take way too long. But I want you to have this information. So like I said, pace yourself, work through the class, do a chapter a week, or if you really want to, you really feel motivated, or you just like the material, there's a lot of students tell me they do, keep going if you want. But you really just, I would say 1 chapter a week is a good pace. All right, so I like to start off with a quote. This quote's from Alice Walker, and she says, "Sexuality is one of the ways that we become enlightened, actually, because it leads us to self-knowledge." So I imagine you're going to learn a lot about yourself in this class, as well as other people, right? And that's kind of the point of the class, right? Is to learn about yourself and sexuality. I love teaching this class because there's certain like taboo topics that we'll talk about or that we don't talk about in society, at least with any kind of like depth and understanding or sometimes even intelligence. And topics like death, right? Or sex. It's like these are things that almost all of us die, but nearly all of us, like the vast majority of us, will have sex or be interested in sex. There are some that don't, but it's a very small minority. And it's strange that it's kind of taboo and things that we don't talk about kind of rationally since they're a part of everybody's life. So I love that about this class. And, how much do you know about yourself if you're stifled and you can't talk about yourself with other people? So let's move on. If I didn't say this yet, I am your instructor. My name is Jordan Rude. You can call me Professor Rude. You can call me Mr. Rude. You can call me Jordan if you want. I'm fine with that. Okay, yeah, this class is entirely online. I said that already. If you want to meet with me, though, if you want to chat, come on by my office hours, 6 to 7 on Mondays. There's a couple of places where you can find the link to my office hours. Here's another one right here in the syllabus. Okay, so what is this course all about? These are kind of redundant. So I'm going to skip down here to the student learning outcomes. Here's a good one. All right, so we're going to talk about the biopsychosocial and emotional aspects of human sexuality. Biopsychosocial is a mouthful, right? So if you break that word apart into really 3 pieces, we're going to talk about the biological aspects of sex. We're going to talk about the psychological aspects of sex. And we're going to talk about the sociological aspects of human sexuality. And of course, the emotions are peppered all throughout there. We're going to talk about sexual diversity. We're going to talk about some cultural differences when it comes to sex. And we're going to evaluate how things like the media influences sexual experiences or sexual behaviors. Okay, so you might imagine that. The second thing we're going to talk about are things like, the stages of the sexual response cycle, the things that are typical or what's atypical. We're going to talk about typical sexual behavior. We're going to talk about atypical sexual behavior. We're going to talk about things like gender and gender roles in today's society and the impact that might have on your relationships. All right, and the third, upon successful completion of the course, we should also throw in there, doesn't say in there? It doesn't. Things like sexual orientation as well. So gender, but we'll also talk about sexual orientation. All right, so upon successful completion of the course, you'll be able to discriminate between sexual disorders. So, of course, we'll go over that too. That's kind of a strange word, but we'll talk about sexual disorders. We'll certainly talk about sexual infections. We'll talk about STIs, their prevention and their treatment. That's pretty good. Okay, so lots of things to talk about in this class. Things that you're not going to expect that we're going to talk about, and some things that you probably do expect. We're going to talk about those too. Course materials I talked about already, but you can get the book um, called Human Sexuality, and you don't need any of the bells and whistles. You don't need access actually even to Revel. It's just the only way they would give you the book is with that attached. But if you can find the book cheaper online, go for it, because all you really need is the textbook for this class. You don't need access to the publisher's like warehouse of quizzes and interactive types of activities. Some of them are good, some of them are really not good. So I just like to make my own. All right, moving on to BC policies here. So if you're a student that goes through DSPS, just let me know and I'll work with you. That's the Disabled Student Programs and Services, typical accommodations that people might need. I'm happy to make for you. And even the atypical, we'll work something out. Just talk to me. And if you think you might need their services, go talk to them, because you have to be registered on file with them before I can help you out through DSPS. So go talk to them if you think you might need their services. All right, academic support services. I didn't put a lot into this in the syllabus because all of these are hyperlinked on our Canvas page. You can find them all there. All right, so all these academic support services, some public safety information. Some students like to have this in their phone in case they need it. So if you need an officer on campus, you need a ride, there's a phone number there for you. Academic integrity. So this all has to do with different forms that this might pop up in any class. And this class certainly can be one of those, because we're going to talk about issues that are emotional for people. And we're going to talk about topics that people might have disagreements on. And so part of academic integrity doesn't seem like it would fit in this category. Really is how you talk to each other. So I'll be keeping track of that. This kind of falls into my course policies as well, about respecting others and netiquette. So what I like to think about, in college, when people have these debates about free speech and what is a safe space and these types of concepts, I feel like we do need to disagree with each other in a civilized manner and have debate and have discussions on campus. And it should be a safe place for everyone. Like, even if people have views that I disagree with, I think it's a safe space for them too. Um, excuse me. Because I think we need practice at learning how to disagree with others in a respectful way. And then also to learn how to be disagreed with by others. So it's easy to learn, I think, how to disagree with other people respectfully. But what about if someone disagrees with you, right? And they do so respectfully? What do you think about that, right? So two sides of the same coin. We need to learn how to talk to each other, especially among these taboo topics about sexuality. Okay, and then academic integrity also, of course, concerns things like plagiarism, using AI or ChatGPT, that type of thing. It's a hot topic right now. Between you and I know people who are advocates of ChatGPT. I've used it myself for some things, but when students use it for writing papers, it's glaringly obvious, even without the software that can detect it for you. What's kind of funny is that the software that detects it for you gives it to you as in a percentage. So if you had AI write your entire paper and it goes through the software that I use, it's going to tell me this is 100% found on the internet. There are no combinations of words here that somebody has made up on their own. And here's where they found it. So it'll kind of like back engineer ChatGPT to show me exactly how that software found what they found. So I have an advanced system that I pay for. But in this class, I'm not super concerned about that, because you're going to be writing a lot from your perspective anyway. And I think it's things that you'll want to voice your opinion about. So I'm not stressed about it, but everything you write automatically goes through that software for me. And basically, if you're using ChatGPT or you're plagiarizing somehow, I got to report you. You get a 0 on that assignment. You do it again, you're kicked out of the class. And it's kind of really, it's up to, um, other departments on campus to figure that out, what your punishment should be. But they do keep a record of how many times you actually plagiarize or get in trouble with academic integrity, and a certain amount of strikes, and they kick you out of the entire district. So it's just a bad practice. It's silly to me anyway, like the links people will go to like not learn something, or to avoid a challenge. So yeah, I see it's a coward's way out. Don't be a coward. Not that I think you're going to do that. Um, but there you go, right? Academic integrity. I do expect that from you. And like I said, I expect you to be respectful toward others, even if you disagree with them. It's fine. It's actually good to disagree and learn how to voice that, and also learn how to take it if somebody disagrees with you. So you might have, a chance for that in this class and the discussions in particular, but I do monitor those. So if I see someone, doing things that are kind of like their motivation is to be offensive, or their motivation is to try to hurt someone's feelings, and they have nothing to say, it's either a question of like, hey, did you know you're coming across this way? Or like, that type of, what dialogue is not acceptable in this class. But those kind of type things like rarely happen. But I am monitoring and watching just in case. What else is there? Okay. Netiquette. So one thing I would add here about netiquette, which is short for network etiquette, it's just like how it is that you communicate online. If you're communicating with me, say through email, for example, please put your name on the email. Also, tell me what class you're in. Tell me what section you're in. It's a little easy this semester because I only have one section of human sexuality online. So if you just say like, "Hey, I'm in your online human sexuality," I know where to find you. But let me know. It'll make it easier for me to get back to you. Okay, moving on. So safe zone. I am a safe zone ally. You can put that in quotes, safe zone ally. I feel like I've been an ally my whole life, but now it's official. I have a piece of paper and everything. It means a couple of things. It means that I'm a person who is knowledgeable, is understanding, non-judgmental. I can be an ear for people of the LGBTQIA plus community. There are people in my life that mean very much to me. There's people that I love that are very close to me that are part of the LGBTQIA plus community. And I can steer you toward resources if you need them, that type of thing. So it doesn't just mean I'm here to be like a hall monitor, or to watch people who might be bullies, that kind of thing. It does mean that, but I think what happens more often is that I'm a resource for you. I can just be an ear if you want to talk, or if you're looking for specific resources, I can help you out there too. All right. Late work policy. You guys will have plenty of time to turn things in. Kind of works like this. Like if you turn something in late and you haven't taken an exam on that material yet, I will give you half credit for it. But I don't think it's going to happen. We only have 4 due dates in the class, and they're just about a month apart from each other. So you have plenty of time to get your work done, but emergencies happen. So if something happens, communicate me and I might work with you. But yeah, I'm really not super concerned about late work policy. It happens, but if you haven't taken an exam on the material, I can still give you half credit for it. Drop policy. So, I mean, if people don't show up and do their work, I'm going to drop them. And how do I monitor that is the question. So if you take, say, exam number 1, and it's on chapters 1 and 2, if they got a 0 by the due date for exam number 1, I'm going to go, what's up with that? And I'm going to go look through and see if that person has completed work for the chapters the exam is on. And if they haven't, I got to drop you from the class. Sorry. There's somebody else who would love to be in your seat, as they are limited, and somebody who might actually do the work, right? And get some value out of the class. So just do your work, right? If something happens, you need to drop the class, talk to me too. We can work that out. All right. So next section, assessment. This is what work is there in the class, is probably what you want to know. I'm not doing anything radical in this course, really. If you've taken an online course before, this probably will feel pretty similar. Hopefully, I created assignments for you that you will actually enjoy doing. But let's break it down category by category. So the first is quiz assignments. You have multiple choice quizzes for every chapter, one per chapter. They're typically 10 questions. They're all multiple choice. They're not meant to be super demanding or challenging, just to reinforce the material. And of course, you can use whatever materials you want to get those done. Same with the exams, because I can't really monitor you while you're taking the exams. You're going to do a lot more writing on the exams than you would, say, if you're taking the class face to face. But there's 4 exams total in the class. We kind of bundle chapters together by theme, and then you have an exam on them. Okay, there are also discussion assignments per chapter. So every chapter will have a quiz and a discussion. The discussions are all different. Some of them I might say, hey, watch this video. What do you think about this? Or I might say, like, here's this thing going on in our culture, and kind of how do you feel about this and why? Right? Or it might be like, read this article. I have like all different types of activities for you to do. Some of them are almost like playful in a way. You'll see. Or there's a couple in there. It's like, take this quiz and what do you think of the results? Right? Or take this survey rather. What do you think of the results? That type of thing. So different types of discussions in there. And there's 2 writing assignments, which I already touched on briefly: the article summary and the personal sexual philosophy paper. Right? And that's it. So we have 4 exams, 2 papers, 15 quizzes, 15 discussions, and that's the whole class. Then we'll call it a wrap after that. Some important due dates to mention, right? There's no school on Monday, although we're online, so it doesn't really affect us. Last day to drop without receiving a W is the end of this month on the 28th. So January 28th. It's a couple of holidays. Again, those don't really impact us much, us being online. Last day to drop with a W is March 22nd. And then we do have a spring break, so I didn't assign anything that week, to give you a true break, but it kind of depends on you. If you're working ahead, then cool, you got a break, right? But if you haven't been working ahead, then you might have to do some work during that week anyway. And then we have our week of finals. Don't have to stress the final due date, because you'll have a week to get all that work in. Our final exam is just exam number 4. So it'll just be just like the rest of the class. You'll have, it's due on the last day of finals on May 10th. Okay. So here's the tentative schedule and kind of see what we're going to cover in this course. Right. First chapter, we got how to study human sexuality and sexual anatomy. And then you'll have an exam on those 2 chapters. And you've also, by that point, you've taken the exam, you've taken 2 quizzes, quiz on chapter 1, quiz on chapter 2, and a discussion for chapter 1, and a discussion for chapter 2. And then we'll move on. These go a little bit out of order because I felt like I could group them together by theme if I move them around a little bit. So chapter 3, we got the physiology of sexual response, intimate relationships, sexual behaviors, sexual marketplace. And then you have all the quizzes and the exam and the discussions due for those 1, 2, 3, 4 chapters, all on February 26th, right? But you can see here the pacing. You just focus on this chapter this week. We're on the 5th, and on the 12th, you do the next chapter. The 19th, you do the next chapter. It's not a whole lot of work if you do 1 chapter a week. In fact, I don't think I even had to double up on any of the weeks. No, we get everything done. Okay, so that's the syllabus for you. I really look forward to hearing from you all. Hopefully you can drop in office hours and say hi. And yeah, let's have a great semester. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.